we're still joining, but I do want to go ahead and get started on the introductions. So I'm Jade Thomas. I work with Ampla, co-hosted with Okendo and ShoppingGives. I'll go ahead and start the introductions with the companies first, and then we'll move into the lovely ladies and their businesses. So Melissa, do you want to start with telling us about yourself and Okendo?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm Melissa Megginson Axtell. I'm the community director at Okendo. About 6 months in, so I still feel relatively new, but getting to know our amazing panelists and our merchants has been such a highlight of my time so far. About Okendo, so we actually help thousands of high-growth Shopify retailers build customer trust by showcasing those experiences from their customers through a personalized review experience. We're thrilled to be hosting this panel of absolutely amazing founders and can't wait to learn from each and every one of you.
Great, thank you. Molly, do you want to tell us about ShoppingGives and what you do there?
Yes, thank you so much, Jade. Hi, everyone. I'm Molly. I'm the head of social impact at ShoppingGives. ShoppingGives is an e-commerce platform that powers brands' donations to nonprofits. We work with thousands of retailers, helping them embed impact with every action by integrating social impact within their customer journey. For this month, for Women's History Month, we're partnered with Women for Women International, running the Celebrating Women Coalition, which is inviting brands, galvanizing brands to support causes that empower women all around the world, and specifically Women for Women International, whose vision is to create a world in which all women determine the course of their lives and potential. We selected this organization because of their important work all around the world supporting women in areas of conflict and war, but specifically right now they are fundraising for the crisis in Ukraine, helping Ukrainian women face this crisis through their conflict response fund. So I'm going to link in the chat our coalition, and if any brand is interested in participating and donating a percentage of purchase either for International Women's Day or for the course of this month, reach out to us and we can help you implement that. And I'll kick it over to you, Jade. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Molly. Thank you for speaking about the coalition as well. So I am Jade Thomas, like I mentioned. I am Director of Marketing Communications at Ampla. Ampla is a tech-enabled financial solution that's dedicated to helping consumer brands scale. So right now what that means is we do enable brands to have quick access to capital through what we call a growth line of credit. We have hundreds of brands across different types of industries who are able to receive transparent and fair pricing, flexibility, no hidden fees. So many of our customers like Partake, Bev, Ministry of Supply, Undra, Celeste, use our credit solution so that they can enable retail, e-commerce, and omnichannel market opportunities. So we're really excited to be involved with this as well. So that clears up some of the hosts and their introductions. So I'd love to get into the founders and a little bit about what they do and their company. So to kick off, let's introduce Tiffany Rose with Hollywood Hair Bar.
Yes, hello, my name is Tiffany Rose. I am the founder of Hollywood Hair Bar. We actually launched, we're going into like 3.5 years now, so I'm really excited and really proud about that. We are an all-natural hair care brand. We literally launched and took over. We became a phenomenon. The products really work and they are amazing. So we basically come from the all-natural world, but our branding and our, image is very bright, fun, girly. It's very different than the average all-natural brand. And we help women across the world build their confidence with growing their hair and making sure they're taking care of themselves. We cure alopecia, a lot of different hair elements that really affect the inner soul of a woman. And my ultimate goal is to help women and continue to help women, men and kids, but women are my passion. So I've really had an amazing ride throughout this time so far. I have a phenomenal team and I can't wait to share all of our success on this panel. I will say that we are in the top 1% of all online stores. And that's one thing that I am extremely proud about. And I was screaming from the mountaintop because I worked very hard for that spot. And yeah, so that's me in a nutshell.
Great, congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you.
All right, and next we will introduce Saliah and Kareema, who are the co-founders of Sabreen Cosmetics.
Hi, everyone. We're Sabreen Cosmetics, a sister-founded, female-founded, and women of color-founded brand called Sabreen Cosmetics. We founded our luxury, clean, and sustainable beauty brand in honor of our aunt, Nabia Sabreen, who lost her battle with breast cancer in 2009. Our mission is to empower women through luxury consumer goods that are not only safe for you, but for the planet, and inspire them to live a life of elegance, sophistication, wellness, and luxury.
Great, thank you. And lastly, we have Undra Celeste with Undra Celeste New York. Oh, you're muted, Undra.
Sorry, I didn't realize.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I am super excited to be here. I'm very grateful to be here. My name is Undra. I am the founder of Undra Celeste New York. Undra Celeste New York is a women's apparel line that is designed to for multicultural women. And people often ask me, well, what's the difference? I founded this company because after working years in the fashion industry and corporate fashion, I found that, you know, women of color, we dress to go to work differently. Like our clothing is just not a covering, but it's almost like an armor, because you have to go in and deal not only with your job, but a lot of times we deal with a lot of other things. And just as with hair or beauty, you know, our clothes make us feel powerful and make us feel motivated, and, you know, like seriously, like make us feel like we're like, you know, badasses and we could take over the world between 9 to 5. So that is the premise of what Undra Celeste was founded on. Our workwear is bold, fun, yet modern and luxurious. And again, I'm just really happy and proud to be here.
I'm really happy and proud that you're here as well. So I just want to say thank you so much for the introductions. As everyone can see, we have some very powerful founders with some amazing mission statements, stories behind their brand, their company, how sustainable they are, how much they care about women, especially women of color. And I'm really, really happy to be here today to moderate this panel. So thank you again for doing this. So to jump into some of the questions, would love for you all to just really, you know, at the beginning, tell us about yourself and your brand story. So this could include like what inspired you to start, how long you've been around, which Tiffany Rose, I know you've mentioned, and really some of the products. Saliah and Kareema, would you guys like to start in terms of Sabreen Cosmetics?
Sure. So my sister Saliah, I'm Kareema, by the way. We again founded our brand in honor of our aunt Nabia Sabreen, who lost her battle with breast cancer. She was really a woman who inspired us to go for our dreams and just be unapologetic about ourselves. So we really just wanted to, again, inspire women to do the same. We founded our company in 2016, but we didn't launch until 2018 because we did a lot of research and development. So we have a different range of lip products. We have lipsticks from metallics and satins to lip glosses. So we're happy to serve the clean and luxury space.
Yeah, that's great. I love that you guys spent a lot of time on the research and development to make sure this is something that is impactful and meaningful for you. Tiffany Rose, would you like to go next?
Yes. Actually, like I said, I've launched the brand about 3.5 years ago. I come from the world of entertainment and fashion. I am a celebrity fashion, well, before I launched my brand, I was a celebrity fashion stylist for 20 years and a costume designer in the Costume Designers Guild. And, you know, I really flipped on the beauty world and coming out of fashion. My mother and father own a fashion couturier house, and I grew up in an entrepreneurial household. So because of that entrepreneurial background, I always knew that launching a brand was something that I was going to do. I came into the industry as a fashion stylist and worked with every celebrity. You know, I'm from Hollywood, California, so I worked with every celebrity, photo shoots, you know, TV all of that. And I really learned and really garnered my craft and my skills as a marketer, as a brand, launching a brand, knowing everything that was needed to really make it successful. And the visuals were very important to me. Visuals are everything at this point. And I think that that really made a difference within my branding, that I was able to bring my high-end celebrity fashion styling whole vibe and style to a beauty brand. And really, I call myself the Betsy Johnson of beauty because the brand is very, very, very bright and fun. And it introduces a blend of like a luxury feeling to the Black woman. And I wanted to make sure that I marketed to my Black woman. I know that we have dealt with a lot within our hair and growing our hair, and the world of the craze, I say, of lace front wigs came into play about 5 to 7 years ago, and many women dealt with the aftermath of that and their hair being torn out on their edges. And I really was able to get with an amazing manufacturer, and literally she created a phenomenal product that I was able to take and run, and it really works. It works 3 to 7 to 14 days. You will see results when you use our product. So we have a range of everything from hair growth serum to edge control. Everything grows your hair, and everything is all natural. I also reached back to my roots, even though I am American, but I'm African American. I was able to reach back to my roots in Africa and launch a product called our Shebe Gold Mask, which we import directly from Chad and Sudan, Africa. And there is a tribe of women that have their hair down to their thighs. And, no one would ever think that, we can grow hair that long. So I really was able to garner that product as well and bring our African heritage to America, because we don't really know a lot about our beauty traditions that come specifically from Africa. So I really, how can I say this? I brought the luxury, but I really was teaching and really, really spreading how can I say this? I was really spreading the information that I feel like we were needing within our heritage of being beautiful and understanding that we're beautiful and understanding that regardless of anything, we can continue to push forward. I think that there's a lot of brands out there, especially in the beauty world, especially in my beauty world, that sell products that don't work. And so when my product worked, that's when it became a phenomenon. And it's been a really amazing ride. And so basically, in a nutshell, that was, the behind the scenes of who I am, as well as how I launched and what was my background of what my point really was. And it was really to just make women feel beautiful all the way around.
Right. I love that. I have so much to say to that, but one is, I love that when you were younger, you knew that you wanted to launch a brand. I feel like a lot of Black women don't have that mindset. And I really, try and hope that we can continue to spread that it is possible to start a brand, really start a name for yourself. And I really respect that. And then lastly, I think I need that product where the hair can go all the way down to the ankles. So I'm going to hit you up after. Exactly.
But I can say this, I do want to say this again, that it really was the foundation that I was raised in, so my mother and father were really major entrepreneurs, and it was something that was just put upon me. And I think that that is something that we should teach our children. I have a 13-year-old daughter, and I'm teaching her that, it's all about what you can do for yourself. I feel like our country teaches us to work for other people. And so I think that it has to come in the home of how you are raised to understand that you can be an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Thank you. Undra, Celeste, would you like to tell us more about your story and your brand?
So my story essentially started, I was always considered myself a designer, even before I had a brand. From a little girl, my family is from Guyana. And so when I was younger, I have a very huge, very tight-knit family. I have about 7 aunts, and they're all very close. So growing up in that environment where I would just watch, I would watch my aunts come to this country and work in a lot of domestic capacities. And then on Friday and Saturday, I would watch these women go from their uniform to what I best describe as you know, Diana Ross and Donna Summers, like they would just transform. And it inspired me so much as a little girl watching that. It was funny because all of the aunts would just deposit us at our grandmother's house while they ran off and partied all weekend. So I would see them all together, and that would just like inspire me so much as a young child. And of course, I would try to duplicate that with my dolls and what have you. So I always say I was a designer from that point. But growing up, it's, you know, it's a lot of times it's about visibility. That's why I also love, you know, panels like this, because I did not really see high-end fashion designers who look, you know, like me. I think once I got to high school, or you know, there was like Tracy Reese, and I actually, when I discovered her, I would spend money on her stuff. And so when I, you know, the part of my brain that says you're a designer, but you can do that as a career, didn't click probably until about college. So I went to Howard University, but I didn't study fashion, I studied business. Because I always knew that I also had a very entrepreneurial type of upbringing as well. And so after Howard, I moved to California to work in marketing. And during that time, I was like away from my family. I was away from just about all of my friends. And I was very, you know, I was kind of experiencing some depression. So what I did is I started to take fashion sketching classes at Long Beach College. And at that point is really when it transformed for me. Like my class, I believe, was like Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 8. And my whole life revolved around that. So much so is that after that class, that semester was over, you know, I packed up my stuff and took my talents and brought my talents back to the East Coast to work in fashion. And my first instinct was not to start a brand, even though I knew that's what I wanted to do, but I went and I worked in corporate fashion. And again, it was like even in the corporate side, working in product development and in some cases design and brand management, I did not see a lot of women like me. And I, you know, and I hate to say it, but it is, you know, we deal with a lot of, in corporate, we deal with a lot of microaggressions. We deal with a lot of, you know, dare I say, like jealousy and those type of things. And I found myself starting to use my natural talent of design and, you know, and dressing and styling. And I started making clothes for myself. And it was in 2015 is when I kind of had a light bulb moment. I'm saying, well, if I'm doing this for me, I have all of my girlfriends who are going through something similar experience at work. I can do it for, you know, it could be a brand. So I launched my brand in 2015. I didn't start to sell it until 2016. In 2016, I launched the brand with just, you know, my website, and just everything, the designs came from my heart. That first season, I think because I worked in production, I did something that I wouldn't recommend to any new designer do, is I went straight into production. Like everything I'm doing is great. Everybody's gonna buy it. I'm making 50 pieces of each. Yeah. But funny enough, it was so authentic that it actually did sell out. The first brand, I not only sold out, I used to do like trunk shows, but I also got 5 retailers, which was unheard of, like for somebody just hard. Hard and coming out of nowhere. And so that was when the brand was its most pure and authentic from my heart. Like now I say, you know, Undra Celeste modern workwear brand for multicultural women, like all of that wasn't even there. Like it was just me giving what was on my heart and what I wanted women to experience. Years later, maybe like 2 or 3 years later, when you start to get into any creative field, if you're not super, super strong about your point of view, it is natural with our Instagram world and our Facebook world that sometimes your perspective shifts because you're looking too many places. And that's what happened to me. So in 2018, one of the things that kind of was like a pivotal moment for my brand was I did a collaboration with 2 other designers and Nike and LeBron James. And we were the first we were the first women to do a LeBron James sneaker for women designed by women. And what made that pivotal is not the story is not about the sneaker and how great that was, but at the end of it, I realized that we had garnered somewhere, they said like 500 million press impressions. And when I looked at the bottom line at the end of it, I think at that time, my brand, like I was saying, was a bit watered down. I think I had sold like 5 dresses. Like, how do you have 500 million press impressions and you sell like 5 dresses? It's like, I had to sit with myself and say, well, what is the problem here? And I realized at that time that I had gotten so far away from that original DNA when I had first started. So in 2019, kind of stepped back, took some time off, rebranded, did a lot of hard market research, a lot of expensive market research, and then came back. And it's funny because in 2019, we didn't have, I mean, we always get press, but we didn't have what we had in 2018. But my business had grown something like 300% because I tapped back into the original thing, which was the woman, the Undra Celeste woman, and who she is and what she needs, right? And since then, that is what we've been building. It is, today we just released a beautiful like commercial to the world that really is the essence of the women that we want to serve. We are currently at Saks Fifth Avenue. We are very, very grateful for Ampla. Thank you. And that is, and that's pretty much our story. It all goes back, and it's so beautiful that this is happening on International Women's Day, because that has been my experience. When I not look, I mean, the big collaborations and all that is great. It's important, you know, but at the core of it, the business is about the women we serve.
Right. I love everything. I love how you talk through the brand evolving, how you wanted to go back to your roots, the different, you know, twists and turns that you've taken, because it is just trying new things, learning and trying to figure out what is going to work for you. And I think as well as, I think one of the common themes that all of you all have mentioned is it was really hard, I think, growing up to kind of see people like you, like I'm more in the tech world, and trying to see that is so hard. And usually, you know, the only person of color sometimes at a startup. And it's great to kind of have the visibility out there. I think with social media, it helps us be able to learn more of these stories as well. So I think I just want to applaud all of you all on your efforts and your story. I think it's really great. Moving on to the next question, with starting with Tiffany Rose. What is one of the biggest lessons you've learned from building your business?
I have so many. I will say this. I started my brand with $500. This is my shocker. I always tell everyone. I literally invested $500. And within 3 years, we have a sales revenue of $40 million. And so the reason why that is so important to me is because I was able to launch my brand and do everything. So the $500 went towards my product. Everything else I did. So I researched and taught myself for 10 years prior to launching my brand regarding, you know, everything, the pixel, the Facebook marketing, you know, the marketing period, you know, how to get into someone's brain, how to launch something really major in a different way that's not, you know, normally. So that's the reason why the brand stood out so much, because not only was it an amazing product, but the look of it was like, oh my God, I need this. It looked like candy, you know? So in a nutshell, I did my own website. I did all of my graphics. I did my own marketing, which I didn't pay $1 for marketing for about the first 15 months or so. So I basically had a sales revenue of about $500,000 in that 15 months without $1 in marketing. I was smart enough to get into engagement shares at the time, and with the right grouping of pages that had shoppers and buyers, you know, on Instagram. And Instagram basically set the tone for Hollywood Hair Bar. And I learned everything on my own. So I was able to set up all of my pixels, you know, so every part of the data that I was creating, you know, and all of the people that were coming to my site. I think it was maybe somewhere around like 100,000 people a month, which was absolutely asinine. I know it sounds crazy, but all of that data was being collected. So in a nutshell, the learning and the really realizing like, okay, I need to know how to do every part of my business on my own first. My customer service, my packaging, my bottling. I mean, I was the everything girl for 15 months. You know, my parents, everyone, they thought I was a nut. Like I was literally a crazy nut for about 15 months. I didn't do anything else but Hollywood Hair Bar. I literally was, I couldn't even sit at dinner. You know, I'm always on my phone. You know, it was just like really, it took over my life. And in a nutshell, the first month we did maybe about $5,000 in sales. So I was like, oh, wow, this is great. You know, the next month we did about 20, and then the next month we did 40, and it continued to grow from there. And this is just all on my own. So once that happened, I realized like, okay, I got it. I know what they want to see. I know what they need to hear. I know where to place, you know, my posts and all of those things. I know how to clientele to them. You know, I would get them in the DM. I'd like, hit me in the DM or I'll DM you. And when I got in the DM, then I was clienteling and I was selling. I was working my butt off. I was really working my butt off. And so I worked so hard that about 15 months in, I had an amazing, you know, angel call me from my marketing company, the Snow Agency, which I have to shout them out, you know, from the rooftops, because they helped change my life. They were like, you know what, we can take you to this amount. I'm like, really? You know, so the first month in, after bringing them on, we literally did $1 million in 1 month. And I was like, oh my God. And then ever since that, from that point forward, we were doing like 2 million, 2.5 every single month. And so it was like the right place at the right time. You know, it's also hard to teach this because you have to have the passion for it. You literally have to literally cut everything out in your life. And I know that my friends, you know, they think I'm just cut them off, but I didn't cut them off. I just had to focus, like a tunnel vision focus. I worked in the entertainment industry my whole life, and I was able to sit under greats, you know, Patti LaBelle, Queen Latifah, a lot of amazing people that I learned from. And I didn't ask for any handouts from anyone. And that's the funny thing that everybody's like, oh my God, Tiffany really blew up. I'm like, yep. And I didn't ask anybody to help me post anything, to spread the word, you know, anything. And they were just shocked that I did it all on my own. And that meant a lot to me because it showed me my God-given ability, you know, my God-given talents. And I say to everyone, God is my business partner. That's the only business partner I have. I own my company 100% still to this day. No investors, no, you know, bank loans. We actually just signed up for Ampla yesterday. So we're excited about that. And I basically, even with that, I did that and had to think about that for a long time because I'm like, okay, do I want to? But basically, in a nutshell, you guys are awesome. I just have never taken any money from anyone, you know? Right. And so that's kind of like a nerve-wracking thing a little bit. But for me, right now, what we're doing is we are launching in retail. So we're going, we're actually next week, we're starting distribution. And I'm really excited about what the future holds for Hollywood Hair Bar. But I can definitely say, to circle back to the question, that it goes back to learning everything on your own. It goes back to knowing your business, your brand, your customer, you know, where she's at, what she needs to hear. You really need to understand who you're selling to, because if you don't, you will be caught and lost in the sauce. And then you also need to understand the pitfalls, the highs, the lows. I went through hell for that 15 months. You know what I know, I said, but hell for like 2 years, you know, I went through hell because we are hard to sell to. As Black women, we are. And when you're coming with a product like my product, which is kind of like magic in a bottle, you know what I mean? You're like, yeah, right, that is not gonna work. That's a scam. Yeah. I mean, I've been called a scam like over 500,000 times, you know what I mean? But it's just funny because once we got over that hump of like, who is this girl? What is this product? And what is she talking about? And when it started to work for people, then everything changed. And it was so interesting because I literally watched it change before my eyes. The comments, you know, because we literally became a phenomenon, over like 100 million views on our Facebook page a day. You know, the Snow Agency really took me to the next level, and it was just amazing to even just watch. But literally, I saw everything change. And then it was like, we love this. We're infatuated. You know, I have to have this product. So I was just really proud of what I accomplished on my own. And the reason why, I will say, the reason why I still don't have a business partner and did everything on my own, never took $1 from anyone, was because I wanted to be able to tell that story to the next Black little girl, that she could do it on her own, you know, and that it doesn't matter, you know, what your credit score looks like or what your background is or where you come from. If you have tenacity, if you are, you know, someone that can literally research and learn and teach yourself and seek out the right information, the right products, the right people to team with, it can happen, you know? And so that was the reason why I did that for so long on my own, because I really wanted to inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs, little Black girls that want to be entrepreneurs, you know? And I'm so proud of all of the Black women that have been so successful with the internet, online. You know, I feel like the gatekeepers were finally taken away. And that's why it's like so phenomenal, because, you know, I come from the entertainment and music world, and there's gatekeepers, you know, it's true. And even in the music industry, the gatekeepers are taken away, because now we put the music or we put the product in the hands of the people, and then they take it from there. And we don't have to smooge this person or that person to get our clothes in a store initially to garner clients and clientele and all of that. So at this point, we have reached about 1 million subscribers in my subscribers list. I mean, I have an amazing, just a phenomenal group of women that I absolutely love. I call them my Hollywood hair barbs, and they are infatuated. They're infatuated with the brand. And, you know, also another thing that I will say, I stay behind my brand, even though, you know, I'm like a TV girl, you know, I'm a TV personality, all that, but I stayed behind my brand for a very long time. No one knew who I was or what I looked like or anything. I saw what was going on social was many women, many Black women were building their brands based on themselves, which is okay. You know, nothing wrong with that. But for me, I wanted to base my brand on my product, and I wanted to base my brand on my branding. And I didn't want for anything to get out of the way of purchasing that, you know, that product. So I wanted to make sure to have them have the tunnel vision, because I can be a lot. And so, you know, within the last year and a half or so, I've kind of like busted on the scene, like, yeah, you know, it's me, you know, I'm the CEO or the founder. And I'm going to be doing a lot more of that. But I wanted to really set the tone for the brand to not throw anyone off of, you know, because a lot of things goes on social media. And I went through literally many competitors, as well as many people from, you know, hair brands that sell in China and things of those sorts, literally trying to take me down, really, you know? And so the wonderful thing about it is I really handled it with stride. I never spoke up on all of the horrible things that I was going through, you know, the trolling that was like out of control, because we were an internet online based business. And I was able to just continue to move forward. And, you know, the team, I will say, lastly, the team is the most important thing that you can ever have. Now, I am a supporter of doing everything on your own until you can't do it on your own anymore. And when you can't do it on your own anymore, you have to put the right people in place. You have to have a team that just doesn't look at you like an invoice, you know, that looks at you and your brand as they are a part of the brand. They know they are involved, and we all have an ultimate goal here to build this into something that is phenomenal. And I can say that that's what my team has brought to me. I love them like family. I always call myself like the fourth snow. You know, I know they have a sister, but the fourth snow. I love the snow agency. Dan and John have changed my life, as well as my account rep, Greg, all of my team there. I have a very extensive team there. And from what they've told me, we are the #1, you know, brand on their agency. And that just feels amazing. We've done so many phenomenal things, but I can definitely say that it's all of those things, but it's knowing when to hold, when to fold, when to bring on people, when to not create so much overhead. I did everything very smart. I won't call myself a pandemic business or a brand, because we were around before the pandemic. But when the pandemic came around, everyone was in the right place at the right time, which was on their cell phone. So because they were in the right place at the right time, when we started with really marketing hard, was about 4 months prior to the pandemic. So we were able to get in there, build, you know, do some crazy numbers. And then once the pandemic came, we were able to continue that. But the way that I set up my business, there were many businesses that shut down during the pandemic because, you know, their warehouses shut down, or, you know, certain things they couldn't drive, or, you know, they couldn't have the people working in the same place together because everyone, you know, would get sick. So I was able to really set the tone. And I'm so thankful that I did everything the way that I did, because I didn't want huge overhead. And, you know, so I was able to navigate. My team is all over the world. And that's what's like phenomenal, that I am very proud of. And I'm just really proud of what I've accomplished so far.
I'm proud of what you've accomplished as well. No, I think that's amazing. I love that you hit on like the customer centric approach and really understanding your customer, and eat, sleep, breathing your product until you know every single way, every single avenue of how to sell it, who to sell it to, what you need to get it done. And then lastly, just showing that resilience of, you know, going through all of the different types of hardships, especially in the past couple of years, and making sure you guys are adaptable. So thank you. Next, we'll have Undra. Would love to know, what are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned from building your business?
I kind of alluded to it when I answered the last thing, but the last question. But the biggest, the two biggest lessons I would say that I learned was to always, like, you know, right now I am, you know, in a luxury retailer, and that's great, but it's so important to focus on your customer. Like it's like end customer use is always should be the goal, right? Be customer centric, regardless if you're selling, you know, what I've learned is if you're selling like a custom made dress to one person, or you're selling 500,000 dresses to women on the other side of the world. It's been my experience that the relationship with women and what we put on our body is a lot more, and this is all women, it's a lot more important than just, okay, I need to go outside and I need to not be naked. Like it's not about that. And it's also not about necessarily that mindset with price. Like, yeah, if I pay $1,000 for a dress, yes, I am going to be more mindful of where I'm going, what I'm doing in this dress. But even if you buy a dress from Walmart, I would say the other day I was actually in Walmart with a friend, and I bought this like romper thing. It was like for the house, but I touched it and it automatically felt so yummy in my hand. So that's an experience that I went through. Now, mind you, this romper is $9.99. Like, like it's not really changing my life, but because I felt it and it felt so good, so I bought it. You know, if I had touched it, the price wouldn't have made a difference. If I had touched it and it was crispy, regardless if it was 99 cents, I wouldn't have bought it. So the person who designed that was intentional. Like, women put things on their body, whether it be to like cover some of our past sins or to just show up and show out. That has now for me been a learning for me, and I'll share, you know, with our viewers, is that we have to, like, your product should always be end customer use centric. You always want to think about the experience that you want the woman to have when she is interacting with the product. So that, like I said, was a big learning for me that I got when I rebranded in 2019. And the other thing for me, a major learning that I've picked up is staying true to my aesthetic, staying true to who I am and what I provide. Sometimes being in the space of beauty, hair, and fashion, you know, you can almost feel like it's so oversaturated. I mean, I know one time I had saw, it was like a meme or something, and they were saying like, you know, Rihanna, like, what if she said that? The beauty industry is so saturated. Like, now I like can't live without Fenty products. Like, how was I living before? So it's like, stay true to yourself. Try not to look left and right, because there's so many, as Tiffany was saying, there's so many trolls. There's so many people who literally have nothing else to do. But if you stay super true to your aesthetic and to your goal and to your mission, for me, that is what's pushing me forward. something that Tiffany said about, honing super down tight into knowing what your customer does, with how they eat, how they live. I've been in that process probably now for about 2 or 3 years, and I'm going to check out the snow agency, girl. You just
Yes.
we're all on our way to the snow agency.
Yes.
Inquiries in about an hour.
Sure.
Great, thank you. Yeah, no, I completely agree on all of those points, and I feel like there's some similar themes there. Saliah and Kareema, would love to know some of the biggest lessons that you guys have learned.
So I'll speak for myself and I'll let Kareema go. I can say, because I'm going to be vastly different. And if Najee was here, hers would be different. But I would say from my perspective, it's like really understanding your brand positioning, really understanding where you want to sit in the market. If you're a luxury brand, then be a luxury brand. If you're a masstige brand, be that. Whatever you are, understand who you are, what you want to be. And then also, a lot of times as brands, we're so like looking at it now, we also want to like understand where you want to go. Where do you want to be? I know for Sabreen Cosmetics, our ultimate goal is to be able to compete, and we will end up competing with the Chanels, the Dior's, the YSL Beauties. That's our goal. And when we want to be able to pass our brand down to our family, we want it to be something that's intergenerational. So that's important to us. And I would say the second one would be really just understanding your product and being able to stand behind your product. My sisters and I, mainly myself, we work really hard on the R&D phase. I'll give one story that I think would resonate with everyone. I was working with our chemist, and my chemist told me that we couldn't make lip gloss without polybutane in it. And I said, oh yes, we can, and we will. And I ended up sourcing the product myself, the Pelamol P3, which is what's in our newer gloss. And I sourced the sample, sent it to him, and then he sent it back to me. He was like, okay, yes, well, we can use this. And I was like, okay, together now. So that's something about really understanding your product and you knowing who you are and being unapologetic about who you are, which is what our brand is really about. That's who my aunt was. She was from Harlem, New York. She was very fashion forward, very into social justice advocate, but also very luxurious, really loved the finer things in life and love beauty. So our brand is what I call is for women who are what I call embrace refined rebellion. That's what we're about, doing, going against the status quo, but doing it in a way that's refined and not like kind of all over the place. And you have that little element of mystery of reveal where you guys probably saw me, but you guys weren't expecting me to kind of have that spunk that I had just now. And that's what our whole brand is really about. So I'll stop there.
Oh no, I totally agree with everything you said. I think one point that I'll add is just making sure that you have passion, kind of like what Tiffany Rose was saying, that you have a passion for what you're doing. And also you're like relentless in your pursuit. I think being women entrepreneurs, we're very young, but we're hungry. Like whatever we want to do, we're going to go find it. We're going to figure it out. So we're going to source a million vendors. We're going to go to the end of the earth to find the best ingredient, the best product, to make sure that our customers know that we're providing the best quality product. And I also add that there will be times on your entrepreneurship journey where you may get weary. And I think it's so important to go back to your why. And our why is our aunt. The family legacy brand, and everything that we do is about uplifting her legacy and continuing to inspire women. So whenever we get told no a million times, or a vendor backed out, or things that come up as entrepreneurs, remembering why you started is so important.
Definitely. I love the line refined rebellion. I'm obsessed with that. That's just beautiful. Thank you. So we have about 15 minutes left. We did get a question as well. So I have 2 questions I want to ask before we open it up. I think there's this one, would love to kind of know, and this can be very quick a little bit, there's so many e-commerce trends out there these days, like user-generated content, zero-party data utilization, TikTok's advertising boom. What trends are you and your brand focusing on this year, if any? What's your main, theme for 2022? So Undra, would love for you to kick that off. This doesn't have to be too long. It could just be mentioning like what's on your radar.
For us, what is on our radar in a major way is video.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
I don't think that's necessarily new per se, but we are intentionally doing it in a way to tell the brand story consistently. So starting today, if you guys run over to my Instagram page, we released our Essence of the Undra Celeste Woman commercial or video, and we have already recorded maybe about 5 more that are coming out each throughout the year. So video is the number one major thing for me to get. I mean, we do great photography, but I think video speaks to the woman and her lifestyle in just a more authentic, easier to digest way than just images. So video. That's it.
Well, I love it. Saliah and Kareema.
I would say for us, in-house content creation, making sure, like Undra said, that we're able to tell our unique brand story, using video campaigns, again, being able to tell our brand story in different ways that are not always done before. And I think we're going to be able to push the limit this year with some new things that we're working on. Also looking at TikTok. I know TikTok is booming, so I'm interested to see how we're going to be able to mesh branded content on TikTok this year. So
Yeah, that's great. Tiffany Rose.
Well, I can say that my team and I, we've been through the humps and the lumps and the ups and the downs of the last 6 months with dealing with Facebook and the iOS update and all of those things, and a lot has changed. And we actually just hit the ground running with some new concepts and ideas of how to market, still on Facebook, but through whitelisting. Whitelisting is absolutely amazing. So ladies, you got to make sure to look into whitelisting. Whitelisting is basically when you have a influencer. They don't have to be a huge influencer. They could be a macro influencer, micro influencer, whatever you want to call them. And basically they do an ad for you, a video with your product, and then you can whitelist it basically where it comes from their page instead of your page as, your branding page. So basically when someone is scrolling down, it doesn't look like an ad. It just looks like UGC content, but not even UGC content. It looks like somebody just posted it. So basically it's kind of like doing marketing in a different way. So definitely we have started on TikTok ads. We've been doing excellent with TikTok ads. Also, of course, doing in-house branding. We just launched a beautiful studio, like a showroom that I did specifically for content creation for Hollywood Hair Bar. So we basically have an in-house beauty salon and all of these different things going on. So I'm really excited to finally really connect with my customer where they see my face often, going on lives a lot more and really connecting with them that way. We also just launched an app December on my birthday, which is Christmas. We launched our app on Christmas Day and we have blown that app out of the water. We actually partnered with TapCart, which TapCart is amazing. So if anyone is looking for an app, please go and hit up TapCart. And we also, work with Okendo, and reviews are phenomenal. So we have over 30,000 reviews. We have over 30,000 5-star reviews on our website. So that also is something that continually pushes. And the Instagram and Facebook and all of the social media platforms, YouTube is just continually, reaching out that way. But I would say that whitelisting, I'm so excited about whitelisting because it is working.
Yeah. No, that's great. I love that. So, I think what all of you guys have said is the content creation is really at the core of it, and the channels, which is, whether it's whitelisting, whether it's TikTok, whether it's improving some of your website, creating compelling content is so important. And I think we all know that, but I'm glad that's a huge focus for you all. And it's continuing to be something of like, how does it evolve as all of these channels and different, platforms be popular and then they're not popular. At the core, it's still the content that is king. Great. So I do want to say for like the Q&A a little bit. So this one's also just, going to be a little bit quicker. But I think this is a really important question. So what advice do you have for any up and coming entrepreneurs, particularly women of color? Saliah and Kareema, would love for you guys to start this one.
I guess I would just have to keep reiterating about understanding your why and where you want to go, because that kind of provides like a roadmap for you. and then understanding that you have to see it through. I think that's vitally important, understanding your market and not being afraid to go ask for help. A lot of times I feel as if we feel like we're out here by ourselves, seeking community, asking for resources, applying for grants, whatever that looks like. I went back to get my MBA so I can understand, because Kareema went to the University of Maryland. She has a degree in international business. And I wanted to be able to, because I came from a healthcare background, I wanted to be able to understand what was going on. So like not being afraid to go get the resources to educate yourself, to know what's going on. And I'm grateful for her pushing me to do that. It was hard, but I'm glad that I did it. I'm grateful for it. So I would say that. And then yeah, so that's, I don't want to talk to my son yet.
No, I agree. I think for me, and I'm going to be quick, making sure your product is good, y'all. Please, if you don't do nothing else, make sure your product is good. Saliah and I are mad scientists, perfectionists when it comes to our product. We done went through so many revisions of our packaging because we are that much of a perfectionist. So I would just encourage whoever is looking to go into beauty or any entrepreneurship period, make sure that you have a sustainable product. Make sure you get feedback from your customers or your family members, whoever, to ensure that it's quality and that it's something that can be sold to people when you put it out there, and that you can stand behind whatever you're putting out there to the world.
Definitely. Tiffany Rose.
Well, I will bounce off of what she's saying because I was going to say the same thing. It's definitely about the product. I can definitely say for me, that's what set me a tone. You know, it was the product and the branding. So if you can get the product down, really in the beauty world, and I can speak for the beauty world, and also I can speak for the fashion world, you know, with fashion, it needs to fit. That's like a huge thing, you know? So the beauty world, it needs to work, you know? So whatever you're selling, whatever's behind it, it has to be factual or you're not going to last. You know, there's a lot of brands, and there's even a lot of brands in the hair care industry. And I would just say like hair regrowth serum specifically that blew up huge in every store, but the product's not good, you know? And so in a nutshell, you don't want to build something on, what do we all learn? You don't build anything on non-solid foundation. You don't build a house on sand, you know? So you would never want to work your butt off and build something on something that is not something that you could be proud of, something you use, something that, you know, it really works. So I would definitely say that. And also just making sure that you have the right team in place once again, and knowing and being discerning with who you are placing in your team, and knowing that they are for you and they are riding for you and they're not just collecting a check or sending an invoice. I would definitely say everyone that is on your team to have passion for your brand.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, Undra, any advice?
So I'm going to echo both with all of the ladies said, but I'm also going to add that when you are starting, and we are all, especially women of color, when, you know, I'm not going to say we all come from limited resources, but when we come from limited resources, we overwork ourselves to the point of exhaustion. Though it may be what is required, I would champion anyone starting to find time to take care of yourself. A lot of times, not only are we doing this, but then there is life that does not stop. There's motherhood. If you're a wife, if, you know, maybe you're doing this and still have a full-time job, and you have all of those, the things that come along with that, burnout, depression, anxiety, all of that is real deal things that we deal with as women, just period. But then as women of color and founders and people who are trying to start something. So although I am very much by default team, no sleep, teamwork, I am working very hard this year to actually abandon that team and team balance, team rest, and team find self time for it. And I say it because it's easy to say, and I know there are people who are starting, they're like, well, if I'm working a 9 to 5, I got to work 5 to 9 or 5 to midnight, but you also just got to find time. If it's one day, if it's doing something that has nothing to do with your business, that gives you just joy, whether it's just walking or, I don't know, like me personally, this is going to sound silly. When I was growing up, I was into building dollhouses, right? And I built my last one, this big thing that I built when I was like 21, and I haven't done it since. And it's been 20 years. And so this year, last year I got a new niece. And of course, she's a baby, she's an infant. And the first thing I gift her, because I love to do it, is a dollhouse. So that's something that it has nothing to do with my business, and no one will ever see it on the internet because I'm not that girl, but I'm going to take time to build her a dollhouse just because it gives me joy. So that's what my advice is. Try to find time to do whatever it is that you do for yourself.
I love it.
Yes, I agree. Take care of your mental health. It's so important, and it's hard, it's hard being a woman of color right now, and with everything going on. And I feel like even outside of work, it can just be exhausting. So make sure you take care of yourself so you can have the best brand. You can focus on that, get your mind right, make sure you're tailored and targeted and know what you want to do. Thank you so much, everyone. So that takes care of the questions that we have, but we did have a couple of questions come in through from the audience. So I think this would probably be best if one person wants to just take it and answer, just since we only have a couple of minutes. So if you were building from scratch, what would be your process to build your brand and then acquire new customers as well as retain current ones? So that's a lot in a question, but if you guys want to just maybe break down one part of it, one of you all, if you want to take that, I think that would be really helpful to answer that question.
I want to hear Tiffany answer it.
I wanted to hear you answer it. Okay. So I basically would say, okay, ask the question one more time. The beginning.
Yeah, so it's a lot in there. So building from scratch. So what's the process to build the brand? I would say building a brand and then acquiring new customers is one half of it, and then retaining is the other half. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. So building the brand, I would say, has to do with your visuals, understanding of visuals and understanding of branding. And I would say if you don't understand branding, the first thing that you need to do is learn how to brand and what that means. I think that people throw brand around so much, especially now with social media. I'm a brand, everybody's a brand. And I think that people don't understand really what that means and the depth of it. I come from, like I said, an entrepreneurial household, and I come from the fashion industry. My mother built a brand, and her brand was working with celebrities. Everyone knew exactly who she was, what she did. And I think that comes also natural, depending on where you want to, what your product is and where you're coming from. So I would definitely say that building something from scratch is extremely hard. And I in the interim, I know that for me, it's like when a celebrity is, I always go back to the industry because that's where I come from, but when a celebrity becomes a star, right? When a celebrity becomes a real star, you know what happens? God aligns the stars, like literally, the stars are aligned, and it's their time and it's their moment. And I can definitely say that you have to find your inner ability to listen to the Most High. That's my main, and I'm not to take it, churchy or anything like that, but we all know that that's, a lot of where our background is as Black people, African Americans, colored people, whatever we want to call ourselves. But my thing was connecting to the Most High, listening to what he told me to do, and I did it. And so it's kind of like a hard thing to teach because everything is always changing, but I can definitely say that you want to catch people's attention. And then you want to clientele to them in a way. I think that nowadays there is no clienteling. The DM is a great way to clientele. I I had everything stuck in my DM. I have automatic replies, and I would just boom, 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 boom. So everyone would have the information, how many this, that, the links to this, to that, giving information behind your product, and just building something that's a splash. There's so many things on social media now that you can do to really splash. Get into reels, get into understanding how to create content and being good at that. And if that's not what you're good at, find someone, find help, learn. And then from there, retaining the customers has to do the main thing. And this was like my huge thing was customer service. I did my own customer service for the first 15 months. I was the one on the phone. All the ladies know, now they're like, yep, we used to call, she would answer, and I sure would answer. And I'd stay on the phone with those ladies and all of that. I explained to them the product. I put time and energy because I was really passionate, and I wasn't just passionate about the product. I was passionate about the customer. My mother, because I come from, and her name was Angela Dean, by the way, my dad, Jonathan Dean, my mother came from that world. And so because she made women beautiful on the outside, with their clothes, I really learned how to get into the psyche of a woman and kind of work with them to help them build whatever it is that they're missing. So when you have a product or a brand, I would also say that you want to come with something that you are solving a problem. That is the best product you could ever come with, is something where you are solving someone's problem in some way, shape, or form. And all of us ladies here have done that, from fashion, to where you go to work and you feel like you can represent yourself because now you have a brand that represents you and you can go to work and feel that way because yes, we do speak through our clothes. And also with makeup and cosmetics, solving a problem comes having something that's all natural, because a lot of us are interested in what's in the products. So I would definitely say a lot of research, a lot of time with God, and just following through with what you are led to do and understanding how to hear. That's what I did.
Yeah. No, agree with you on that. I think that's great. And then I think this also might be another question for you, Tiffany Rose. Someone had asked a question of how did you reach out to the influencer to spread word about your brand or to do like the whitelisting to get that started?
Okay. So there are like the antiquated way that you could just reach out, specifically directly, but there's another company, I'm linked in with so many amazing companies. It's called Incense, and it's spelled INSENCE. So once again, that's INSENCE, and they are a phenomenal tech company that basically lets you hire influencers, right? So they have a lot of different things that they offer, UGC, all of these different things that influencers already sign up. You create a brief, you create a campaign, you put it out there, and then they apply. You look at their pages, you pick the people you want to work with, you set your budget. You can do anything from, just giveaway of the product down to, small budget, $50, $100, whatever you feel. And then it goes up from there. Of course, there's large influencers on this platform. I mean, like, the ones that we see on Instagram, the big influencers with millions of followers. And then we go all the way down to macro and micro influencers on that platform as well. And they have launched this division, that is whitelisting. And so everything is linked in with that company. I think that that's the easiest way to do it. Once they sign up, they say they want to be involved with your brand. You hire them, then from there, you literally hire them, you check a box. And after that check, you have the ability to run that ad through their page. And the whitelisting is something that I feel is the future of marketing, because at this point, I feel like we have just been so overly marketed to that sometimes it doesn't resonate the same. And that's why UGC, which I don't know if everyone knows on, listening on the panel, but UGC is user generated content, which basically your actual customer makes a video and it doesn't look all professional and perfect and, pristine. And the actual viewer or the reader or the viewer, the person that's on social, your customer, a potential customer, sees it as another type of, kind of like I always say, a hey girlfriend thing. I sell like, hey girl, you need this product. That's my whole, that's our thing. So it's not really, like perfect and like a major, huge, like I say, a L'Oreal or whatever. They have their realm, but I think that online and the internet is more real. We want to see what the real customer has to say about this product. And whitelisting takes you there because it takes the brand name off the top. It comes from an actual person. You can usually, they say that the best thing to say, this is my research, is at the top of your caption, just say, I'm obsessed. That's it. I'm obsessed. The video's there. Then at the bottom, you have all your information, the product and you click it. But the whitelisting is the way to go. I feel like it's truly the future since the iOS update and, Apple and Facebook are kind of at war. So this is the way to go.
I agree with you there. I feel like there's a lot in terms of the whitelisting, influencer marketing campaigns, user generated content, the importance of reviews and ratings, especially in the beauty and fashion space. Like I will go on TikTok and specifically look to the very like detail of like 4C hair or something like that, or I'll look at like Black, makeup. Like I want to see what is someone like my skin complexion,
Yes.
my curl pattern, exactly what they are doing and how they are doing it and what they are using. Because if it works for them, it'll probably work for me. So I think it's very, very powerful. And a lot of brands, like they don't have all of that. So it's great to find the people to kind of do that marketing for you.
Exactly.
So I love
it's
it.
Believable. It's more believable than the average ad.
Right. Thank you so much. We're a little bit over, but thank you all so much. This was an amazing conversation. We didn't even get through most of our questions that we had. We probably could have spoken for 5 more hours, and I wish we could have, but I want to save everyone's time today. Thank you again. And we will be sending out the recording to everyone. We'll also make sure to have mention some of the links that Tiffany Rose, Kareema, Saliah, and Undra have mentioned throughout the panel, and any other information. So we all appreciate you guys staying tuned, and thank you again to the panelists for speaking and taking the time to chat with us.